Whoa! Welcome back. This is Podcast Bozo, where a few knuckleheads, us, learn new things each week with you, our listeners. Today, we are talking about mind over matter. The main players that got me interested in the subject, we're going to be talking about those guys and how we believe normal people should perceive this idea of mental toughness and much more after that. Today, on Season 3, Episode 9, we're close to the end, boys. I'm here with Eli, our resident artist, Cheek, our certified beer server, and I'm JJ, but you can call me Dusty Two-Foot. Today, before putting the pedal on the metal, we want to encourage you to contribute to the conversation. Communicate with us over the social medias or our website. Cheek, how can they find us?
What you're going to do is you're going to break out that little Google box in front of you. You're going to type in at Podcast Bozo. That's at PODCASTBOZO. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Speaking of our website, go there, donate. We'll read whatever you write in the donation message or write you a little backstory. Not sure what that means. Donate to find out. Plus, that money all goes back to a really good cause, aka us. Production and distribution of this podcast. So thank you for listening. And here we go. Boys, how was our weekend? Cheek, name your favorite part of today.
This lovely kombucha that I'm sipping.
Out of wine glass at that. That's classy.
It really smells just like rotten fruit.
Do you enjoy kombuchas?
I enjoy the tartness and the fizziness. And apparently my gut enjoys the probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
Flavor's not great.
Your toilets won't.
Toilets sure will.
Yeah, I'm not all in on kombucha. I don't know. I'm half in. Ugh. That's some ASMR right there.
Yummy.
Something about the vinegar taste throws me off, but some of the fruit ones I can handle. I don't know. I like you, Cheek, the idea of how it treats my tummy right. It's like kombucha's like a high school junior trying to take my tummy out to prom, and I'm the father. A little skeptical, but she's happy with him, so.
E, do you like it?
I got so twisted up in that analogy. I got real concerned for a second. I get it. That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't drink it too much. I take probiotic pills, so I don't need the probiotic, but it's I don't mind the taste. It's a bit carbonated, a bit hard to put down. Good flavors.
A lot like that Foster's.
Oysters.
Shrimp on the barbie.
Bosses. The official
Taste of the
down under
Outback,
beer
yeah.
of America.
Cheerio.
They don't say Cheerio, I don't think.
Yeah, I can't do Australian very well. It's hard.
For me, I can get about 1 second or half a word into it, and then I'm back at British. I don't know about you. E, how are your bunions?
My bunions are good.
Yeah?
It was my birthday on Saturday.
Is that this week still? Wow.
Yeah, it was this week. I sucked on the chili dog in honor of my birth.
I think everyone was waiting to hear, was it 25 on 1 or?
It was 25 on 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Suck that guy dry.
Now, in your chili experience, are you pro beans or anti beans in the chili?
Chili's chili. I'm no picky eater. As long as I'm sucking some meat and beans in my mouth, I'm happy. I do like personal taste. It depends on each person, but I do like the little beans of happiness in there. I think they're just silly.
It's fun. You think are beans in general silly or just
absolutely?
When they're Yeah, absolutely. I have a hard opinion on beans.
List your top 5 favorite beans. Go 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, black beans, kidney beans. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of those of sweet beans.
Like What kind?
like baked beans.
Oh, like bushes?
Yeah, not
Like
a
with
big
the
fan of
bacon?
those with like the
Bush
maple
bacon.
ones and yeah.
I'm
Still eat 'em,
streaky
though.
on those. How about garbanzos?
Beans. Garbanzos are good.
Yeah.
What is that? That's only 4 though.
Cool.
What other types of beans are there?
Beans.
I don't know.
I don't know. The only
It's
other
really
one I could
just-
think of was garbanzo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
black beans are the go-to for me.
There's like string beans.
String beans are great. Edamame, if you count them as beans, I don't know.
They're
Yeah,
all
for the sake of the
legumes,
argument,
right?
sure.
Legumes.
They're all in the legume family.
Let us know what you think bean wise. Comment for us. We want to hear it. What are your top 5? Or just tell us other beans that we're unaware of, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't do very well there in coming up with different beans.
Man beans? Cheek, you got beans, right?
I got jolly beans.
Nice. Mexican jumping beans? I think that's the thing, right?
Is that a thing?
I think that was the first bean I learned of.
That was your first bean? My first bean. Sounds like
What about those
toy.
magic
The kid's
beans
book,
that,
my first bean.
those magic
Sex
beans
education.
that James had?
Oh, yeah, there's magic beans too.
Ooh.
I got a magic bean salesman.
You got a
That's
magic
pretty
bean
good.
guy.
You got a magic bean guy. Think
Every
something's
village has
happening.
one.
Well, yeah. Great to hear. Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say it was Valentine's Day last week, but I've been thinking that for a while, and I had a dream last night that I missed Valentine's Day. It was more of a nightmare.
Waiting for your Valentine's gift still.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for it. Did our girlfriend get us anything for Valentine's Day?
Got me a wig.
A new wig? Huh. All right. Let's move on.
Wait. Wasn't Valentine's Day 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. I'm a little confused.
Where are we?
Yeah. Is this a phone call? What is happening? Who's that? Junior?
Hardo. That's sweet.
So let's talk about the topic a little bit for all
you
you.
got a question for me?
What's that?
You got a question for me?
Was I supposed to have a question for you?
Oh, never mind. I just know.
Ask the question I was going to ask you.
Do you know a Hardo?
Do you know Hardo?
Yeah, this guy David Goggins.
All right. Well, hold on. We don't want to get into that.
What a sly way of leading into our topic today.
Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about mind over matter. I always think this is a very duplicitous topic. I think mind over matter kind of reminds me of the whole idea of like, rub it off, get over it, suppress your feelings, you know? But there's definitely a good side to it. And I wanted to explore that because I'm more prone to thinking the other way. Not that we aren't a motivated bunch of guys, but that's just kind of how I view it. So I've kind of divided this section up into a couple bits. We got like the Hardo view of mind over matter, like the super like, oh, you just gotta put your mind into it, you can do it, that kind of thing. And then I have the healthy version, which is like the visualization and goal setting, that kind of thing. And in between there or after, I'll figure out where it fits in. I want to talk about like emotional theory. That is something that I learned in this research that I've never heard before. And it really seems like something fundamental that we should learn as humans with emotions at our core. So that's kind of that's the structure. I'm letting you into the back end of a podcast right now, you listeners. So let's first talk about David Goggins and Wim Hof. I have to credit Andrew D. He kind of shot Wim Hof at me one day, and I kind of put him in my back pocket, and then I looked into him another day and realized that he's this guy who has this incredible control over his mind and even over his body to some extent. And even in some mythical ways, he has this control over his body where he can regulate his body temperature and things like that. And so these two people first brought, because David Goggins, I'll have them tell you the story, and Wim Hof, they both can do these things with their minds and bodies that just seem impossible and have gone on to become like motivational speakers and stuff. But E, do you want to tell me a little about DG, David Goggins?
David Goggins. He was some guy who weighed 300 something pounds, really unhappy with his life, looked in the mirror one day and was like, I want to join the Navy SEALs. And he called a bunch of recruiters. Everyone laughed at him. And then one person said he'd have to lose 130 pounds in 3 months if he wanted a shot at it. And so he went into this like mind over matter mentality and shredded it all off, hardly ate anything, and made the cut. And then he got put in, he went through hell weeks. And,
it was in 3 months?
Yeah, in 3 months he made it. And then went through hell weeks and like got stress fractures, shin splints, broken feet, all this sorts of stuff, and just pushed through the pain and made it out. He said that he taped his feet or something like that, and like 40 minutes into a run, he would just go completely numb, and then he just would keep pushing on, and he did that for like 22 weeks or something. Insane.
He's just one of those guys who nothing can stop him at this point. He was kind of in his own words, like a deadbeat. He was content with his life, but then he woke up and was like, I'm not content with this. And the way he talks to me is funny. He sounds like if there was a caricature of a motivational speaker, David Goggins would be it. And he just talks really fast in this kind of like rumbly voice. And he talks in these metaphors and abstract thoughts in a way that, like, I don't know. It's hard to capture what he's saying. You just know that it's inspirational, whatever it
exactly.
is. Yeah,
So
you're just like pumped up by it.
He's yelling at you to be better, and
Yeah.
really, it's a bit all over the place, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's one of those things where it's better to think less about what exactly he's saying and more the energy that he's given off. Because I still don't think he's like nailed his message yet, but I don't know. I don't have a beef with David Goggins. I don't know why I'm making it sound like that.
I just don't get the physics of it. Like how do you not run your body into the ground so hard how does he recover from that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Everything I know about the human body says like you can reach a limit, and he proved that you don't, I guess, or he at least. I also wonder, like, are these people that in this situation have just like, they're just the right people in the right situation. The reason we know David Goggins versus anyone else is because David Goggins was able to do it. Some other guy or girl did this and she broke her foot, and he or she was like, yeah, that's not for me. I'll go back to being a weed whacker or whatever David Goggins was before. I don't know. You got to think that you only know so many of these people. There's got to be other people that tried and didn't become it. But yeah, so he's one of those guys. I heard him on a Joe Rogan podcast one time. Another guy I put in my back pocket, and I was like, maybe he'd be interesting to look into a little bit. And then there's Wim Hof. Cheek, unless you have anything to add about D-Gog.
I have something about this comparison I want to draw at some point. D-Gog did, or I remember there was an ungodly hot day last summer or a couple summers ago, and he was taking a video of himself going on a run in like 110 degrees, and he was just like, like somebody's in a car filming him as he goes, and he just like looks like the most miserable guy. He's like, you gotta get out there. It's 120 degrees. All the quitters will tell you, stay in today, but you got to get out there. Even you stay hydrated. You're going to be fine. And it's just like, dude, there's got to be a point where it's 120 degrees. Maybe take a rest day. Like, you're not going to be a failure if you take a rest day. I think that some of his mentality can be really dangerous where, like, if you don't do 100 million sit-ups in the next hour, you're a loser.
Yeah, I want to get into that too, about like the duality of that mentality. Ooh, duality of the mentality.
I think it can be used as a great tool to motivate somebody, but I think it's a double-edged sword, as we're kind of touching on, where it can also, maybe bring you down a little bit.
Yeah, like he probably has some qualities to his biological makeup that make him better. And I wonder if there's a bit of ignorance there too. Like normal people would be like, oh, maybe I'd faint if I went out and ran 100 miles in 120 degree heat. Maybe I'll just stay in, have a water, use my Peloton.
Yeah.
But he's yeah. But yeah, he doesn't, but it's not only that he doesn't care about that stuff, but it still doesn't affect him, which is the incredible part about it. So maybe there is something to that mind over matter thing. The other story with him that I just remembered is that after being a Navy SEAL, like, I guess like as a Navy SEAL, you're not necessarily doing like conditioning training. You're not doing long distance running. And he went and tried out for one of those like mega marathons, that are like 100 miles.
Ultra marathons.
Like bike to water to run.
No, ultra marathon, like Cheek said. So it's like 120 miles of running.
Just straight, one
Just
shot.
Yeah, just like it's like you run for, I don't know what that would be, like 12 hours straight or more.
Technically, anything longer than a regular marathon is what they consider an ultra. I think the most common distances hover around like 32 or 40, and then some of the psychos go 60 to 100 miles. But yeah, there's a bit of a culture of it here in Vermont. I used to work with someone who was into the ultra marathons, and it's just,
how long were they running?
My old boss at when I worked at North Face, Mark, used to do like 32, 40 mile ultras. His knees were shredded from it. He has no ligaments in his knees left at all.
Yeah, like that's the thing that I don't get, which is that everything I've learned is that it's just important to give your body rest as it is to exercise it. And that just seems cruel to yourself, the ultra marathons.
Well, these people are less about like, I love running, and they're more about like, look how much I can push myself. That's what gives them pride, pushing themselves. So like when they run out of knees, they're going to go on to 10-mile swims or something like that, I'm sure. But that's the other thing. He was done being a Navy SEAL, kind of was like, what's my next thing? There's this guy who runs an exclusive ultra marathon event where he picks the trail and you run 100 miles or something of that sort. And David Goggins says, all right, that's my next thing. That's what I'm going to do after this crazy Navy SEAL stuff. I'm going to go do the ultra marathon. He gets there. They're like, everyone he's talking to has been training for years to do this. He hasn't trained a bit. He's never run more than 10 miles at a time, something stupid like that. Gets out there, qualifies he runs around a track for 100 miles, which in itself is insane, even if you're in shape. But he runs around that track, ends up pooping himself within like the last 10 miles. He pees himself, finishes, can't walk for like the next 2 days. And then not only did he just do that, but he now has qualified for another race that he has to do that again. But then he trains for that one and things. So he's an insane man.
Dude,
definitely an inspiration, but don't do that.
Doing that around a track sounds fucking brutal. Like everyone that I know that does those things do like mountain loops, where they go out to these mountain trail systems and like peak over 3 different mountains in a day. And like, I understand the appeal of that a little bit. Go out there, return to nature, maybe see some cool views. He literally just does it to fucking see how far he can go until like his body fails.
Yeah. He's relentless. I don't
sounds
get it.
Awful to me.
Yeah, miserable.
That's 400 laps around a track, right? Isn't a track 1/4 of a mile?
Yeah, I think the standard size, like our high school was.
Or like an indoor track, should be 800 laps around it. Because it sounds awful.
He's got a takeaway, which is different than Wim Hof's before we get into that, though, which I think is pretty crucial to who he is. Like, yeah, he takes it too seriously, but the point that he makes is that most people are rewarded for mediocrity in society, and he sees the real value in living of when you actually push yourself and you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, and that's when you grow. Which I agree with completely, but I just think he gets like addicted to that lifestyle.
It's beyond, and he's like come to expect that anyone can do that. I'm not sure that anyone should do that. So, but
yeah,
do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want in life that makes you happy, but it's a kind of a very condescending and closed-minded mindset to get upset at other people for not agreeing with you.
Should we start beef with you and David Goggins, Cheek?
You didn't just run 100 miles today. What the fuck's the problem with you?
Yeah, you're right. That is kind of a condescending take. It's just like, it seems like nothing you do unless it's better than what he does, and he has like multiple world records, will make him happy. He's like, you always got more in you. It's just like, all right, dude, chill out. Just went in my hot pocket.
Dude, I'm just taking a lazy Sunday, all right? Like, I'm going to watch I'm going to turn on the golf channel and make some nachos tonight, okay?
I pay good money for this red zone. Stop. You pay for your entries to the... I'll show you how long I can watch football in a row.
Yeah, I'll push myself. 100 hours of television nonstop!
Oh, wait, you can't sit still for 2 days straight? Oh, you pussy. All right,
David
tell
Goggins.
us
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, come at us. I hope he listens.
Oh, yeah. He does. He's an avid listener.
Fucking
David
pussy.
G, we call him. Yeah. He just busts through E's in my door right now and just murders us on screen.
Forces us to get down, do push-ups.
Run 100 miles right now. Record it. You're in a cowboy hat. Go ride a bucking bronco.
Wim Hof is this Viking-looking badass dude who runs around in the glaciers in just shorts and barefoot, and can survive in extremely frigid temperatures that would normally give someone hypothermia and kill them. He swam a football field length with one breath underwater in glaciers. So this guy has basically taught himself how to control his body's response to stressful situations. And I guess his story is that his wife died of suicide. He was feeling lost in life, but he had kids, so he wanted to be there for them. So he made changes. He hung around in nature, and he said that is what healed him. And his technique is all about breathing, pretty much. Breathing and coldness, because he says coldness helps with inflammation, and inflammation basically affects everything from pain to anxiety and depression. And his whole gist is like, society cures themselves with drugs, and that just masks the symptoms. Getting to the root cause, all you need to do is breathe and put yourself in cold water. I'm pretty sure that's his takeaway.
That's actually interesting. That actually aligns with one of my favorite theories of medicine. Jay might be familiar with it, called earthing and or grounding.
Yes, the ionizing of the earth, right?
We had a social post about it at one point.
I don't think, did we ever dive into it? I think we touched on it in an episode, but I was like, no, let's do a real episode on it. But we could tie that in. We should do an alternative medicines,
or if you want to do now, but we should do a dedicated alternative medicines.
I think that probably ties in with this Vikings theories pretty well.
Yeah, so let's get into that later, because I think that this guy doesn't know it, but he's talking about mindfulness and meditation, just like a very intense version of it. And I would like to kind of get into that. And I don't even consider that an alternative medicine anymore. Like, I think there's enough proven stuff about that at this point where it's not. But do you think that would fit in there, Cheek, better? Or do you want to talk about it now?
I think we talk about it later.
All right. Up to you. It kind of fits in anywhere. So we're kind of having a free burner episode. So we were supposed to have Eva Bartlett on tonight, who's like a wartime journalist. And then she backed out because she's in Moscow at this point. And then she backed out even further because she was like, what I do is very serious work and what you guys do doesn't seem as serious. So so
we would not be good for our image.
Yeah, she wouldn't be good for our image. That's what I think. But despite the fact she's a very smart person and I would have loved to have her on, and if she ever reconsiders or after dissing us goes back and watches this episode for some reason, we'd love to have you on. But she does she's very, very serious, like journalist at wartime. She's been in buildings that have been bombed multiple times and had rockets shot at them. This
Enough
would be
giving her
very
free
different.
publicity, Jay. She bailed on us.
Hey, I just want to say, abuse us. We love it.
Okay, Goggins.
Mine
I
never matter. So yeah, those are some good examples, and we're still in our hardo category of this whole thing here, where we talk about. My hat keeps hitting the old ventilator here, but we talked about that. So I wanted to get into kind of what the difference between determination and this extreme version of what they have, because if you set your standard of David Goggins, Wim Hof as your determination, which is defined as the will to overcome failure, which could fit into them. If you set that as your standard, then like determination becomes unachievable. But I don't think anyone should feel like determination is unachievable. I don't know about you guys, but what do you view determination as? Do they fit? Is there multiple definitions? Are they over that? Is there a new word for them? G?
Rephrase that. Is there a new word for determinationism?
Does what their mentality, what they feel, how they got to where they are, does that fit the definition of determination, or is that beyond determination?
It fits the definition, but I think it's outside, the normal gradient of, it's an outlier. It falls within the definition, but it's not what you or I consider a normal amount of determination.
Yeah. I think one thing they do is they... Oh, go ahead.
Cold is cold, but there's colder than cold, and that's really, really cold, which is still cold. Like what's that, negative 648, like 0 Kelvin or whatever?
Kelvin?
Yeah, that's cold. But I think just saying cold is maybe under selling it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Based on conventional
it fits,
thought.
But yeah, it's not. It doesn't do it justice.
Without context, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of want to dive into that. Do you have an opinion on that, E?
Of if they're determined, or if they take determination to a different level,
or maybe like, are they obsessed? Is there a difference?
I'm not sure. Part of me feels like, well, their stories are like they hit rock bottom, and once you've been at like your lowest low, and you see what you're capable of, like you're determined to stay from that lowest low. Like, I think they are addicted, or they're just like happier being determined. So if you're happier when you are determined, I don't know. I'm lost myself. Jesus.
Was there just a girl's voice? Did I just hear a girl's voice?
That was Cheek going.
I'm gonna start whenever you say a lyric that triggers a word that triggers a lyric in my head. I'm gonna sing it, and that's what just happened. I'm addicted and I just can't get enough.
I thought like our girlfriend was whispering in your ear or something. Did you just hear someone? Oh. Well, I'll move on from that. There's no avenue there. I think that for me, I guess my point was that there's an unhealthy aspect to David Goggins and Wim Hof's habits or how they became them. And I'll be interested to see what age they die at or like what they die of and that kind of thing. Sorry if I keep bumping my mic and you hear it. But there's almost an obsessional state about that, and they're happy with that. Wim Hof, I could see how you could say he hit rock bottom, but David Goggins hit like a perceived rock bottom, you know? Like his threshold for rock bottom was different than other people's.
Mm-hmm.
He might accredit that. Like being a weed killer at somewhere is not the worst job you can have.
Well, his lifestyle sounded pretty miserable. He said he was an exterminator who worked 90 different businesses, and then he would grab like a giant milkshake from 7-Eleven, grab some donuts, and just eat that and shower, go to bed, watch TV, do the same thing, rinse, repeat.
So that must be that's got to be a message that motivates people that aren't like us then, right? Like that I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're kind of like, you're looking at a spectrum of determination and David Goggins is on one side and old David Goggins is on the other side, the people at that other side probably are the ultimate ones to gain from David Goggins' information. Like they're the ones that see that YouTube video and they say, oh shit, that's me right now. Like I do need to wake up. Maybe I'm not happy with this. Maybe I'm not living my best life. And then there's people in the middle who watch it and don't listen exactly, but kind of like just get a little more energy from watching the video.
And then they watch 10 more videos.
And then they watch 10 more
and then they go about their same old life.
Yeah, and they stay up to 4 a.m. and then get drunk and go back to bed.
And that's
I don't think
who
that
we are.
Wim Hof is extreme or like dangerous in a way. I think that dude just comes off as very, very happy, very healthy. And I think the extreme of his stunts are just because he is totally capable and like that is within his control. Like those feats of swimming in glacier bass, like that isn't as difficult as it would be for us. Just the same way as like a really good artist could sketch out something beautiful while we couldn't. They just have different limits. I don't think he's unhealthy.
Yeah. Did I come across as him being unhealthy?
Yeah, you said that both of them have like unhealthy
sessions. Yeah. You don't think that's going to affect them down the long haul? Like he's broken his feet doing this stuff.
Goggins, I think, is unhealthy.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying
Hof,
Wim?
I don't think is.
Yeah. I don't know. How old is Wim Hof? Do you know?
Let me do a quick shebangle.
And is that in Viking years or human years?
I want to hear them both. First metric years and then empiric years.
Yeah,
you want the metric unit or the quantum?
Metric Viking and then quantum human.
In Iceman years, he's 4 stones of age, and in human years, he's 61 years old.
Oh wow, he's 61. All right,
pretty young.
I guess I have no data to back up what I was saying then. I apologize,
Wild
Wim and Dave. Wild speculation.
Let me look up Davido Goggin.
David.
He is 46.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he reflects it, but he feels like he's lived a lot of life.
Do you think that his ability to achieve such great accomplishment speaks to like on the scale, like there's the scale, right? Of how bad that life needs to get in order for you to make a change. And that scale shifts per person. And like for him, he's like at this end where running 100 fucking miles is over here. And maybe at this end, you know, you're like shooting up heroin and sleeping on a cabin floor every night. It sounded like his rock bottom wasn't a rock bottom. Maybe it was for him. And so the way I'm trying to tie this in here is like, I haven't heard him speak that much. Is he one of those guys who's like, anyone can do it? You can do it.
Absolutely. He thinks that everyone can do exactly what he does.
See, I think that's very frustrating because to me, viewing that his rock bottom that made him go change his life was that he was overweight. He had a steady job and didn't like that he was eating donuts. Was that a healthy lifestyle? No. Was he slowly killing himself? Yes. But he wasn't like, prostituting his body out for a crack rock on the corner, which seems way more unhealthy. Like it would be way at the other end. So imagine that person who's like, on the crack rock every night decides to change their life. Can that person then get all the way to where David Goggins is now? I think that person's scale is like, okay, comes up to what we conceive as a normal life now that's healthy. And maybe that's the stride for that person.
It's an interesting take. Like, is the range of improvement set and it just depends on where you start?
I thank you for articulating that. It took me about a mile to get there, but I appreciate it.
No, you illustrated it well. But I don't know. I think that's not the point of what he's talking about. Now that you've said that, I'm reframing how I think about this, only because I thought kind of what you thought just a second ago. I think the point of why he's saying this is to give everyone hope, and it doesn't matter how far you can get.
Yeah.
It's more just about getting as far as you can. But I don't know. That's an interesting. Is there like a set rope length, and that the end point of that rope only is dependent on the beginning point of that rope, and wherever you pull it back or forward to. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
His whole thing is that the mind is the greatest tool that you have, that possibilities are limitless, basically.
Yeah. And I don't like to criticize anyone for being hopeful, but I just feel like he's a freak.
I mean, he dropped 130 something pounds in 3 months. That is
Freakalo. All right, maybe we should stop saying freak.
Freak. Wait, I was doing a Batman thing there.
What was that?
When the Joker's trying to get the mob to hire him, and there's like the Sylvanian guy or some Eastern European guy who's just, you're a freak.
Yeah. What an idiot to call it. Like, who the Joker is at that point. Like,
anyway, David Goggins is a freak.
So on the hardo side of things, I wanted to get to something that happens when you try to follow this hardo mentality, but you're pursuing things that you don't love. So like if you're like, oh, David Goggins can run 100 miles, or David Goggins is the best accountant in the world, or Wim Hof is really good juggler.
The best accountant.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy counts so high, I'm fucking jealous.
But if you follow like a false prophet, and that doesn't mean they're lying, but it means that maybe they aren't the right prophet for you, then burnout can happen. And let me run a quick Cialis commercial here. Feeling like you have a little or no control over your work, lack of recognition or reward of good work is getting to you, unclear or overly demanding job expectations, doing work that's monotonous or unchallenging, working in a chaotic high-pressure environment, working too much without enough time for socializing and relaxing, lack of close, supportive relationships, taking too much time and responsibilities without enough help from others, not getting enough sleep, then you might have burnout. Burnout can be easily solved with recognizing, reversing, and resilience. That's the end of my really funny commercial.
You reading that from somewhere?
No.
That was killer.
All from memory. No, it was
so
all
proud of you.
Yeah.
What's your Texas name today? Dirty Two Foot?
Dirty Two Shoes. No, wait, what was it?
32 toots.
32 Foot. You're right. You're a good listener.
Two Foot. Two Foot. That hat's doing you wonders.
Yeah, I know. But basically burnout is something that can happen when you're like dedicating yourself to a goal that someone else has made for you. Or you're not recognizing stress properly and you're not properly addressing it. All those things I listed are real things. And the ways to deal with the burnout are real things as well, including recognizing, which is watch for the warning signs of burnout. That's something you kind of develop as you get older and you understand what causes your stress. Reversing your burnout, which is undoing the damage by seeking support or managing stress. Resilience, which is building your resilience to stress like that by taking care of yourself mentally and physically outside of the office or work or whatever you're doing. And I think that's important to note because I think somewhere in there, when you're not as passionate about David Goggins as David Goggins is passionate about David Goggins, then you might get burned out. Like David Goggins' whole thing is that he wants to counter burnout. If he feels burnout, David Goggins says that means I need to push harder. And I think that's the feedback loop that's lost for a healthy mindset. Because I wonder
Does he actually say that though?
What?
That when you feel burnout, you keep pushing.
Yeah, when he feels like his limits are reached, or he's at the full stress, or he's doing something wrong, he pushes further. So that's at least how I interpreted that. Something funny that just popped in my head is David Goggins attributes a lot of his recovery at another time of like a valley in his life was stretching. He said he had so much stress in his body that he had like a knot in his head, in the back of his head, and that he started stressing. And I think that'd be interesting to you, especially
stretching.
Be like you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you could stretch out a little bit.
Yeah,
I literally yesterday morning, I woke up and I stretched for 2.5 hours.
That's what he does every day.
I got a knot in my head.
Yeah. You got a garlic knot in your head.
Mm.
Welcome to Olive Garden.
There's a snake in my boot.
But yeah, so there's something with like, I would tend to believe that a David Goggins at some point in his life is going to reach a physical peak where he can no longer achieve what he like used to. And I don't know, maybe he'll categorize it as like, now I'm doing the most for my age group, but
yeah.
But like there's going to be a point where he's going to lack fulfillment because he's based his achievements on this like
pushing through burnout.
Just pushing through burnout. And I don't know.
At some point he's going to be limited by his age and the stress on his body.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm making a lot of assumptions. I sound like I have a vendetta about David Goggins.
Yeah, you fucking hate that guy, dude. What's up?
I love D-Gog.
I like D-Gog too. He's real entertaining.
He is.
He's a content machine.
For real.
Content machine for sure. And thanks for listening to part 1 of this 2-part episode on mind over matter. If you're curious about more things in that regard, you got to come back. I'm sorry, this is the end of the episode.